remember that evening as if time had frozen. In that moment, trembling with both rage and pain, I stood at the doorway of our home clutching a panda costume, and I shouted, "Did you cheat on me with a giraffe, Dimitri?" Those words, so full of despair and confusion, echoed through the empty halls of our apartment. Every fibre of my being screamed with the agony of betrayal, and my mind couldn't fathom the absurd reality into which I'd been thrust. That moment marked the climax of our long life together, when everything I'd known and loved turned out to be nothing more than an illusion of a perfect family idyll. Right then, I want to wish you, dear listener, genuine happiness, love, and prosperity. May every new day bring you joy and warmth. And if you love heartfelt stories, please subscribe to my channel. It means so much to me, and it will only take a few seconds of your time. But how did we get here? Let's step back together into the past, to those moments when everything began like a beautiful romantic comedy, filled with chance encounters and absurd coincidences. I remember how fate brought us together on a cool autumn day in the subway. I, Eleanor, was hurrying to work, as carefree as if I were barefoot through life, despite clumsily strutting in high heels. Suddenly, as if by destiny's design, I tripped. My grocery bag spilled across the floor, and oranges, bright as little suns, rolled across the cold-tiled platform. In that moment, he appeared, Dimitri. His caring eyes met mine as he immediately rushed to help me gather the scattered fruit. The laughter that burst out between us was like the first note of a beautiful melody, heralding a symphony of emotions yet to come. Dimitri wasn't just a kind stranger. His warmth, sincerity, and effortless charm made me instantly believe in the miracles life could offer. Within a week of that encounter, we arranged our first date, and our relationship blossomed rapidly. Every morning brought new smiles, every date kindled fresh hope, and every minute together felt like a precious gift from fate. I remember sitting in a cozy cafe, dreaming about the future, talking about traveling, and imagining a day when we'd be happily together. Our romance unfolded like a joyful comedy filled with unexpected twists, each one only strengthening our bond. And then, 6 months after our first meeting, we moved in together, our little shared world bursting with warmth and love. A year later, buoyed by happiness, we decided to marry. It seemed as if the whole world was smiling on us, and dreams of children, adventures, and a bright future were becoming ever more real. But, as they say, behind every smile can hide a storm. And so, 5 years into our marriage, our seemingly perfect happiness began to crumble. Everything that once felt unshakable was slowly engulfed by shadows of doubt and fear. The first signs of betrayal crept in quietly. Dimitri, who had always been open and kind, began to change. At first, I thought it was just fatigue, work pressure, or temporary hardship. But gradually, all the subtle signs added up into something ominous. He started staying late at work more and more often. His phone, which once lay openly on the table, was now always hidden in his pocket. Sometimes he would vanish to the store for hours, leaving me alone with my swirling thoughts. I tried to talk to him, asking questions, but he brushed them off, insisting I was being overly suspicious and that everything was fine. Yet inside me, a nagging, unsettling feeling kept growing. My inner voice kept whispering that something wasn't right. Every little detail, a forgotten anniversary, half-finished explanations, suspicious phone calls, formed a puzzle I couldn't piece together. Why has he changed so much? What lies behind his excuse, I wondered, recalling how his gaze had grown distant and his smile cold and remote. That uneasy premonition fanned into an insatiable fire inside me, and I began searching for answers both within and around me. I spent sleepless nights analysing every one of his actions, desperate to find even a trace of truth that might explain what was happening. But the more I searched, the clearer it became. My beloved man, the one I had dreamed of eternal love with, was betraying me. During those days, my thoughts vacillated between hope that everything could be fixed and fear that reality had irrevocably changed. Every new detail, every offhand remark from him sent my heart racing, not with joy, but with anxiety and pain. Then, one evening, when Dmitri was late from work again, I decided to surprise him. Perhaps a warm, candlelit dinner, his favourite dress, and tender anticipation could bring back our lost closeness. But what happened that evening changed my life forever. It was a cool autumn evening, heavy with expectation and gentle hope. I had prepared dinner meticulously, the aroma of braised meat, freshly baked bread, and the delicate scent of basil and rosemary that filled every corner of our home. I wore his favourite dress, chosen with painstaking care to express all the love I felt for him. In my heart, I longed to restore our happiness, to mend the broken harmony. Time crawled by. Every minute of waiting felt like an eternity, and my mind raced with one question. Where is he? Why is he taking so long to come home? A quiet inner voice tried to reassure me. Perhaps it was just fatigue, work delays, or minor misunderstandings. But then, suddenly, I heard footsteps at the door. I whipped around, my heart pounding. Standing on the threshold was not Dmitri, but his neighbour, Alexei. A friend with whom I'd rarely spoken, though he always smiled as if hiding some secret. Alexei looked flustered, and when he noticed me, his voice caught as he said, "Elena, I'm sorry. Dmitri asked me to pick up some documents." His words sounded unconvincing. I felt an icy grip seize my heart as our eyes met. A mix of curiosity and dread told me something was terribly wrong. My heart raced as I quietly followed Alexei into the hallway, where he momentarily left his mobile phone behind. Something in his behavior compelled me to check his device. With my heart pounding in my ears, I casually scrolled through his messages, and what I found made my world tremble. On the screen were conversations between Dmitri and Alexei, discussing something absurd, like a game that went far beyond ordinary friendship. In one message, laden with intimate innuendo, I read, "And then we'll surprise Elena, make her feel like part of our game." My hands trembled, and my mind could barely comprehend what I had seen. With every word, I felt more certain that everything I'd believed was real was nothing but a fleeting illusion. Then, my eyes landed on a box in the shared closet. Hoping to find some explanation, I discovered a collection of costumes. Not ordinary costumes, but animal costumes. A panda and a giraffe. Next to them lay a note that read, "For our next adventure, my beloved giraffe." My world spun. Every emotion, anger, pain, disappointment, swirled together in a storm, and I could no longer hold back my tears. It was so absurd, so cruel, that I couldn't believe what was happening. I couldn't remain silent any longer. Lifting the box of costumes, I felt adrenaline surge through my veins, and an inner voice screamed, "You deserve the truth! Don't let him lie to you any longer!" In that moment, images of the happy days, when everything seemed perfect, flashed before my eyes, only to shatter like lightning into a million pieces. Without thinking, I grabbed the panda costume, a symbol of the absurdity I'd been dragged into, and ran outside, where I could already hear Dimitri's footsteps approaching. I stepped into the yard, the cold wind whipping against my face, mixing with my tears and angry cries. When Dimitri finally appeared at the door, his eyes widened in shock. He froze, unable to believe his eyes when he saw me, holding the costume as if it were an accusatory gavel, ready to smash the illusion he had so carefully constructed. What does this mean?" he stammered, scrambling for words to defend himself. I could no longer hold back the torrent of emotion. "How could you? Tell me straight, Dimitri. Did you cheat on me with a giraffe?" My words flew like shards of broken glass, each one laden with pain, betrayal, and bitter disappointment. His face twisted in fear and confusion as he tried to offer excuses, but they were too feeble to conceal the truth. It was just experiments. I was searching for myself. I thought it would help us." His voice trembled as he attempted to justify himself, but to me, his words rang empty, like the echo of forgotten promises lost along with our love. I hurled the costume right at his face, feeling every tear blend with the rain that began to patter softly on the pavement. Inside, my thoughts roared with indignation and realization. How can someone toy with fate? How can you betray the one you love? Where is the genuine love I dreamed of all these years? I couldn't accept that everything we had built together was a lie, that behind every happy moment lurked a dark secret. After that fateful evening, my life shattered. I was left alone, with an emptiness in my soul, and a pain that neither comforting words nor silent tears in the night could soothe. Everything around me felt alien and bleak. The familiar streets, the cozy corners of our home, even the scents I once adored now evoked only bitterness and memories. Every time I saw a photo of Dimitri and me laughing together, my heart ached with sorrow. His messages, his calls, they all served as painful reminders of how close I had come to complete ruin. He tried to win me back with apologies, with photos of our happier days, with promises to restore our lost paradise. Yet every message felt like another stab in the back. In the stillness of night, when my thoughts overwhelmed me, I would sit on the edge of the bed and wonder how I could have allowed such betrayal. My inner monologue tormented me. How could I have been so blind? Why didn't I notice the early warning signs? Maybe I deserve this, or perhaps it's punishment for my trusting nature. In those moments, my soul cried out in pain, and I desperately searched for a way to move forward. Memories of our first meetings, of Dimitri helping me pick up oranges in the subway, now seemed distant, almost like a fairy tale. Every recollection was darkened by the realization that behind that apparent harmony lay a horrifying truth. I knew the world had changed, and I had to make a choice. either try to forgive and reclaim even a fragment of our past happiness, or move on and leave the past behind. Days blurred into one endless sequence of pain, doubt, and the search for solace in memories. My little daughter, born before that fateful evening, became my only ray of hope. Every tender laugh of hers, every glance, reminded me that life goes on, and that despite all the pain, love and strength still lived within me. One quiet day, sitting in my daughter's room, I heard a soft voice inside me, a voice that said, pain can be transformed into strength, that every wound offers a chance for a new beginning. Elena, it whispered, you are stronger than you think. Inside you burns a fire capable of burning away all the chains of the past. You deserve love, but first and foremost, you must love yourself. I spent countless hours talking to myself, pouring my thoughts into a journal, trying to understand how everything I had once taken for granted turned out to be a lie. Every new entry was a cry of my soul, full of bitterness, yet laced with hope. I will no longer let pain destroy me, I wrote. I will find within myself the strength to forgive, not for his sake, but for mine. I will live for our daughter and for the woman I've always dreamed of being. Those words became my mantra. I began seeking answers in books, in conversations with friends, in the quiet solitude of autumn walks, where the rustling leaves reminded me that everything changes and that even the deepest loss can mark the beginning of a new life. Every morning, I awoke with the thought that the new day was another chance to regain control of my life. Yet the memories of that fateful evening, the screams, the betrayal, continued to haunt me. Sometimes, when it seemed that the world was regaining its color, that cursed cry would echo in my mind, "Did you cheat on me with a giraffe, Dmitri?" And I felt my heart clench with pain, my eyes welling up with tears. Time passed, and I began to understand that making a decision wasn't simply about choosing between forgiveness and breaking off the relationship. It was a journey filled with internal battles, bitter reflections, and a long search for self-truth. I wondered, can I ever forgive him? Is it worth returning to what has brought me so much pain? Every new thought, every tear on my pillow whispered that I could no longer remain a prisoner of the past. One day, sitting on the porch of our old home, I remembered the days when Dmitri had been my everything, his warm words, his promises of eternal love, his tender touches. Now, they all seemed like relics of a life long gone. But reality was different. The betrayal, captured in messages, costumes, and absurd notes, was too bitter to simply forget. I knew the decision would not be easy. To accept him was to forgive, but forgiveness did not mean erasing the past. Acceptance meant finding the strength to move on, to build a new life where pain would no longer cast a dark shadow, but serve only as a lesson. On one overcast day, after months of inner turmoil, sleepless nights filled with doubt, and a search for meaning, I reached my final decision. I decided that I would not let betrayal destroy me. I would not return to what once was, and I would no longer let the past define me. I choose life, I told myself. I choose love, but first, love for myself. I deserve happiness, and my daughter deserves to grow up in a world filled with genuine feelings and hope. That decision became the starting point for my new journey. I began rebuilding my life, step by step, shedding the chains of pain and fear. There were moments when memories struck me again, but I learned to accept them without letting them shatter my inner peace. Dmitri, as it turned out, didn't give up. He tried to win me back with messages, with photos of our happy days, with promises to restore what was lost. Yet every word of his felt like a cold echo of the past, a remnant of something that could never be reclaimed. I knew that the real journey ahead was one I had to walk alone, with my daughter and my newfound hope. Gradually, I learned to live again. Each morning, I greeted with gratitude for a new day, believing that after every pain comes light, that every sunset gives way to a new dawn. The world around me began to tell its story. The soft murmur of a breeze through the trees, the scent of rain and fresh earth, the gentle babbling of a nearby stream, all became sources of strength and inspiration. I started spending more time outdoors, walking in parks and on city streets, watching nature come alive after the rain. These moments became my meditation, a time to let go of all the hurts and fears. The inner dialogues that once overflowed with bitterness gradually gave way to calm acceptance, a realization that life goes on despite everything. My daughter became my anchor and my purpose. Her tender laughter, her first steps, her unfiltered wonder about the world gave me the strength to believe in a better future. I realized that despite every trial, true love always finds a way to heal the wounds. "Sweetheart," I would whisper to her, "remember that in this world, there's always room for goodness, for beauty, and for love." I'd say this as I wrapped her in a warm blanket on cool evenings. At the same time, I rediscovered my creativity. I began writing poems, stories, and drawing. Art became the outlet for all the feelings that words alone couldn't express. I realized that my soul needed to speak, and every drawing, every verse was a step toward healing. Sometimes, when the past visited me in dreams, I closed my eyes and imagined that one day I might learn to forgive. Not for his sake, but for mine. But forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about understanding and accepting. And slowly, I learned to embrace what had happened as part of my destiny, a lesson that made me stronger. Today, years after that fateful evening, when I look in the mirror, I see not just a woman broken by betrayal, but a strong, wise individual capable of loving and cherishing life once again. Yes, the pain remains, deep as a scar, but that scar reminds me of how important it is to protect and love oneself. I am grateful for every moment, even for the time I heard those screams and saw that costume, for every lesson, every tear, and every morning when I chose to move forward despite it all. That path was hard, but it taught me that self-love is the beginning of every true relationship. "Thank you," I whispered in the quiet. "Thank you for the pain, for the suffering, for everything that brought me to this moment when I can finally find joy in life again." These words echoed with genuine calm and determination. I want to thank you, dear listener, for spending this time with me, for sharing in my experiences, and for being there as I bared my soul. May your life be filled with true love, joy, and light. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel Your support is invaluable to me. I wish you happiness, love, and prosperity. May every new chapter of your life be written in golden letters, and even the hardest moments become stepping stones to a beautiful new beginning. This story is not merely a tale of pain, betrayal, and infidelity. It's a story about finding the strength to rise after the deepest fall, about learning to forgive, first and foremost, yourself, and about believing that even after life's harshest blows, there is hope for a better tomorrow. As you may recall, the story of Dmitri and Elena began like a charming romantic comedy, filled with chance encounters and absurd coincidences. Yet it was in those very details, the helping hand of a stranger, the laughter, the first tender words, that I found the belief in miracles, the hope that could shine even in the darkest times. And even though the betrayal hit me like a bolt from the blue, I realized that life goes on, and every trial makes us stronger. Now, I look to the future with confidence that everything will turn out for the best. May each of you who hears this story find in it a piece of your own answer, a path to healing and love. For it is through pain that we gain wisdom, and through suffering that we learn the importance of staying true to ourselves and to those we cherish. Thank you for listening to my story in its entirety. May it serve not merely as a tale of betrayal, but as an example that even in the darkest night, the stars shine brightest. I wish you enduring love, inner peace, and confidence in every new day. Subscribe to my channel, share your stories. Every voice matters in this vast ocean of emotions and experiences. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the pages of my soul. May your heart always be filled with light, and may even the most difficult trials give you new wings to soar.